In January 1978, a crew of professional thieves robbed a mansion in River Forest, Chicago. This large suburban house, however, belonged to a certain Anthony Accardo, one of the most powerful organised crime figures in the history of the United States. The outcome of this misguided burglary was only going to end in one way: bloody vengeance. Let's check it out. Welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today we're going to take a look at the violent fallout from the ill-conceived robbery of Anthony "Joe Batters" Accardo, one of the most feared mobsters to come out of the Windy City. Anthony Accardo is a man who needs little introduction. He famously came up under legendary Chicago boss Al Capone, and from the 1940s he was ever present in the higher echelons of the Chicago outfit. Whether it be as underboss or acting boss for the highly underrated Ricca, or even in his capacity as the official boss, or even still as an allegedly semi-retired advisor. There is no question, however, that in reality, in 1978, Tony Accardo was still the #1 criminal power in the city. And in Chicago gangland, his word was the word of God. In 1951, Tony Accardo sold his colonial-style house for $80,000. From here, he moved into a 22-bedroom mansion on Franklin Avenue in River Forest, a property for which he paid $125,000. He remained in this palace for 12 years before being concerned about attention from the IRS and scaled down to another River Forest property on North Ashland Avenue. It would be this property that was burglarized by a gang of thieves with a suicide wish. In November 1977, just before the run-up to Christmas, a jeweller named Harry Levinson ran a store on North Clark Street. Arriving at work one day, he realised he'd been the victim of a professional heist. Some reports suggest that Levinson then phoned the police, who examined the crime scene and advised the jeweller that the perpetrators had left little trace of evidence and there were few leads. Luckily, Levinson was friends with a man who was more powerful and influential than the police on such criminal matters: Anthony "Joe Batters" Accardo. The excellent mob historian Scott Bernstein suggests that Levinson was also a bookie who paid Accardo protection. However, former FBI agent Bill Romer suggests that Levinson was just a jeweller and that he was friends with a man named Jaime Levin, a mob-connected bookie who many years previous had introduced Levinson to Accardo. Either way, the disgruntled jeweller was friends with one of the most powerful mobsters in the country. Accardo liked to spend his winters in Palm Springs, California, but he was still in Chicago when Levinson contacted him. According to Bill Romer, the jeweller met Accardo along with outfit heavyweights Jackie Cerone and Gus Alex at the Shea Pool restaurant and filled them in on the robbery to his store. Accardo then assured his friend that he would take care of things. A call was put into the outfit's man in Las Vegas, Tony Spilotro. Spilotro, who had built a career as a heistman, had connections to the best thieves in Chicago. Spilotro told them that they should have a word with John Mendel, a man who was known to be able to circumvent nearly any alarm system. The story goes that 2 days after the meeting with Accardo, Jackie Cerone and Gus Alex, Harry Levinson then received a call, and later that afternoon all of the stolen jewellery worth $1 million was returned to him. It had been retrieved from the fence that the thieves had used in their plan to sell the stolen merchandise. However, the outfit-associated burglar John Mendel did not take kindly to being instructed by Accardo to return the jewellery, and he decided to show his extreme displeasure in the most unthinkable way: by robbing the house of Joe Batters. Tony Accardo and his wife Clarice were spending the winter in Palm Springs, California, when they received a phone call on the 9th of January 1978 from Michael Volpe, a Sicilian who was acting as caretaker and looking after the Accardo residence whilst they were away. Volpe had the unenviable task of informing Joe Batters that his house had been burgled. Tony Accardo's vengeance for this extremely stupid and disrespectful act was swift and horrifyingly bloody. On January the 15th, 1978, just days after the violation of Accardo's home, outfit-associated burglar John Mendel disappeared. It was thought that Mendel was the mastermind of both robberies. His body was found over a month later on the 20th of February in the trunk of his 1971 Oldsmobile. Former FBI agent Bill Romer says that Mendel's throat had been slashed from ear to ear. An act of violence that would be somewhat of a pattern in the following events. 5 days after Mendel had gone missing, his number 2 man, Bernard Buddy Ryan, was found slumped over the steering wheel of his car. 4 shots to the back of the head, and according to Bill Romer, his throat was also slit. Buddy Ryan's partner in crime, Stevie Garcia, survived a few days longer. He was found in the trunk of his car, parked to the Sheraton O'Hare Hotel near the airport. Garcia's throat had also been slashed and he had been stabbed multiple times. Next to go 2 days later was Vince Moretti and Donald Swanson, aka Don Reno. The pair were found in the back of Swanson's Cadillac. They had been lured to a bar and had been beaten, stomped on, and in the now familiar MO, had had their throats slashed. It seemed like special attention had been paid to Moretti, who allegedly had been wearing Accardo's gold monogrammed diamond-encrusted cufflinks around town following the robbery. Moretti's face had been burnt off with a blowtorch. He'd been castrated and disemboweled. According to crime historian Scott Bernstein, Donald Swanson wasn't actually part of the Accardo robbery. He just happened to be with Moretti when he'd been lured to the bar. Talk about bad luck. The killings appeared to stop for a brief while, but then further messages were sent. In April, Robert Bobby Togs Hertogs, a 22-year-old member of Mendel's crew, was found in the trunk of his car. And guess what? He'd been shot in the head and had his throat slashed. And on April the 14th, 42-year-old Johnny McDonald was found dead in a West Side alley, throat slashed and shot in the head and neck. Some believe that McDonald had set up Buddy Ryan to be killed months earlier. 7 dead so far, but some loose ends needed tying up. Michael Volpe, who had been looking after the Accardo residence, disappeared on October the 5th, 1978, on his way to work. Volpe had testified at a grand jury investigating the murders, and some believe he spoke with them too candidly about what he knew. The final killings were that of outfit hitmen Anthony Little Tony Borsellino and Gerald Jerry Carusiello. Little Tony was found on May the 22nd, 1979 in a Will County cornfield, shot in the back of the head. Borsellino was part of the infamous Chicago Wild Bunch, a group of ruthless outfit assassins who were sent for particularly nasty and pressing pieces of work. And Jerry Carusiello was found on September the 18th, 1979, shot in the back of the head in an apartment parking lot. He had been the driver and bodyguard for one of Accardo's acting bosses, Joseph "Joey Doves" Aiuppa. Both Borsellino and Carusiello are suspected to have carried out the majority of the murders linked to the Accardo mansion robbery. Nobody was ever arrested for any of the murders. And interestingly, in an FBI raid on Accardo's property years later, Michael Volpe's glasses were found in one of Tony Accardo's safes. However, Volpe's body has never been found. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.